Good morning, everybody. We're going to talk about grace this morning. All the grace you need to overcome. I'm going to read this first. We often heard grace defined as the unmerited favor of God. Yet I believe grace is much more. In my opinion, grace is everything that Christ is to us in our times of suffering. Power, kindness, mercy, love meant to see us through our afflictions. Think about a time when something horrific was going on in your life. Maybe you were sick, maybe a loved one was sick, maybe a loved one has passed away. Um, Anything along those lines. Friends left, friends persecuting you for something, whatever it may be. Did you cry out to God for His grace to see you through? We all should. As I look back over the years of great suffering, temptation, and trials, I can testify that God's grace has been enough. I know what it is to question God as my wife endured cancer over and over, and then both our daughters were also stricken. Today they are all healthy, and for that I thank the Lord. I also know what it is to be buffeted by a messenger of Satan. I have been grievously tempted and enticed, and enemies have stirred up against me on all sides. I have been slandered by rumors, falsely accused, rejected by friends. In those dark times, I fell on my knees and cried out to God. I think sometimes we believe, or we hope, or whatever adjective you want to use, that being Christians, following our commandments, reading our Bible, praying, that our life is going to be perfect, that our life is not going to have anything in it that is going to hurt us in any way, shape, or form. But that's not the way life is. God said He would give you the strength to get through the hard times. There's an old adage saying, don't pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to get through a hard one. Strength and grace kind of go hand in hand. David Wilkerson is a great man of God. Started a church in the middle of New York City in the 70s when it was just a very bad place. It was as bad as it is now, or worse. But God gave him the grace and the strength to get through that. And if you look back here, he's talking about his wife and both his daughters were also stricken with cancer. That would be extremely difficult. And we question God. Why are you letting this happen? Why are you doing that? Maybe a trial, maybe a test. It may be a number of things. He may be preparing you for something worse down the road. It's kind of like when I was in the Marine Corps, you would train to go to war. You train to fight. You ran, physical fitness, mental toughness. They put you in some of the nastiest situations you can think of. How much can you endure? How much can you take? Because they knew that when the bullets started flying, you were going to fall back on your training. You will fall back on whatever level of training you have. This is not any different. This is not any different at all. You're going to fall back on your level of training when the times get tough. So if you're trained up, praying, reading, relying on God, putting God first in your life, and we don't want to do that. We want to be in the world. We want to do all the worldly things. And then when the bad times come, we want to grab God. Hey, Lord, where you been? I love you. I want you to be with me. And he's like, well, wait a minute. I hadn't seen you in months. Why should I come help you now? I'm not saying that he won't. But our level of training was not there. If I went straight into a hot LZ with no training at all, I'm probably going to get killed because I don't have any level of training to fall back on. Praying, reading your Bible, staying in the Word, putting God first, that is your training. Bad things in your life are training for worse things in your life. God never said you were going to have an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a bad one or a hard one. That's your level of training. That's what he's talking about with grace. Grace to overcome. Grace and the strength. Grace has always brought me through. And that is enough for today. Someday in glory, my Father will reveal to me the beautiful plan he had all along. He will show me how I obtained patience through my trials. By the way, don't ever pray for patience, because he's going to test you. You pray for the grace and mercy. How I learned compassion for others. How his strength was made perfect in my weakness. How I learned his utter faithfulness towards me. How I long to be more like Jesus, even though I may ask why. He continues to give me an ever-increasing measure of Christ's strength. In fact, many great revolutions of his glory have come during my hardest times. Pray for the strength, the mercy, and the grace. Likewise, in your lowest moments, Jesus will release you to the fullest measure of his strength. You may never understand our pain, depression, or comfort. We may never know why some of our prayers are not answered, but we do not need to know. Our God has already answered us. You may have my grace, my beloved child. That is all you need. And that's what we have to understand. We have to understand that not all our prayers are answered. You know, we talked about prayers a little bit yesterday, saying, you know, you can't just sit down there and pray and the new Dodge truck is going to pop up in your front yard. That's not the way that works. And God doesn't answer prayers because he knows if he answers that prayer, what the back end result's going to be. We don't know. He does. And I've wondered that same thing myself. And I was like, well, why? I mean, I don't understand why I can't do this. I don't understand why you won't allow me to do this. And then we end up doing it anyway, and then we find out later on, oh, that's why he didn't want me to do this. And he allows that to happen. He's like, okay. You know, it's kind of like that old saying that I got told when I was a kid, a hard head makes for a soft butt. Sometimes you have to be spanked. Unfortunately, sometimes you do. And we're all hard-headed. We all want what we want. And that goes back to what we spoke about yesterday, is the flesh. The flesh is never satisfied with anything. Doesn't matter what it is, what you give it, it is never, ever satisfied. You can give it all the money in the world. You can give it all the cars in the world, all the houses in the world. You could give it everything you desire to the point you desire it, and you will want more. And therein lies the problem with the flesh. It's never satisfied. Pray for grace. Pray for wisdom. Pray for strength. Those will get you through. Grace comes in many forms. Sometimes it's a test. Sometimes it's training, whatever, however you want to put it. Sometimes we're not going to understand. A lot of times we're not going to understand. And that falls back onto our level of training, our faith. The foundation of everything we talk about, the foundation of everything we are, our foundation of every bit of our walk in Jesus is based on faith. No man has ever seen the face of God. I've never seen Jesus. But I know he walked on the earth. I know he died. I know he was resurrected, and he sits at the right hand of the Father. Unequivocally, no doubt. That's faith. Is it hard sometimes? Absolutely. It is. You're like, well, dadgum, I'm doing everything right, and all this bad stuff has happened to me. There's a reason. You have to keep going and go, okay, there's a reason. Well, we'll get through this hard times, and Father, help me get through, and Father, guide me, and whatever you need at that time, Keep praying. Keep relying on your level of training. Keep relying on your faith. Your faith is your first level. That's the first day of boot camp. You jump off the bus, 2 a.m., land on the yellow footprints. You're standing there, and you screw up like I did, and the guy throws all your papers all over the parking lot, and you're running around like an idiot at 2 a.m., and he's screaming in your ear because you didn't do what you told him to do, what he told you to do. Yeah, been there, done that. Faith is the footprints. It's the footprints we walk in. That's them yellow footprints on the pad. Gotta have faith. Because if you don't have faith, none of this matters anyway. Because you're just going to be like, oh, well, that's whatever. I'm just going to do whatever I want to anyway. Been there, done that. It doesn't work out well. Doesn't work out well. I hope this has helped you in some way. Keep your head on the swivel. See you tomorrow.